So for those who hadn't seen the film before, I know it's an awful lot to try and get your heads around. You've joined the conversation at a really good point in time. There are many, many positive things happening to try and help fix this, but we need everybody's help. When I spoke to my schools about this, it wasn't until they read that legal fine print that we became the first in the nation to have this sign hanging in our classrooms. And still, although we have this, we have no assurances they're actually doing it. They're actually waiting for our authorities to tell them what to do. So I have met with the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education in Massachusetts and educated them. What we discovered is at the state level, the industry has pitched their 21st Century Classroom campaign, making it sound like they would offer them these wonderful deals to get all this technology in so that our kids could have all the advantages they need to go to college and enter the workforce, when really what they had done is targeted an untapped market, which is our children. And the scientific studies show that children do not learn best in front of a screen. Children learn best from trusted adults. They learn best through interactions with their peers, their teachers, their parents, their loving community, not in front of screens. And in fact, the New York Times recently did a series at the end of October about technology, and one of the stories they did was that the Silicon Valley executives are making their nannies sign contracts that they will not allow any screens around their children. Another one of the articles talked about the digital divide, and what they're finding there is that rich people are sending their kids to schools with no technology, while the industry continues to push technology into our public schools, and that they're even coming up with a completely online preschool. So now you're going to have your wee little ones in front of screens all day long. So that's not good, but it's kind of cool that the New York Times reported on it. It's kind of cool that last month the Boston Globe finally did an article called "Could Your Cell Phone's Electromagnetic Field Make You Sick?" And I had a conversation with this very journalist months prior, and he was very skeptical and sarcastic and never did anything. Dr. Joel Moskowitz at the University of California at Berkeley knew that California had a cell phone fact sheet that was written back in 2009, around the same time as the lawsuits with San Francisco and then Berkeley. They knew that the California Department of Public Health had investigated this. They wrote a cell phone fact sheet, and it never saw the light of day. So Dr. Moskowitz got a lawyer at Berkeley to pro bono for him, and together they went and sued the California Department of Public Health. And the judge ruled, yes, you do have to give Dr. Moskowitz that fact sheet, and ultimately they did release it to the public. Now that should have been front page news all over our world, and I doubt that any of us ever saw a peep about it, right? Because when you look at the parent companies of mainstream media, if the telecom industry doesn't already outright own them, their advertising revenues are what keep a lot of our mainstream media going. So they are very reluctant to cover this issue with any investigative journalism. But the good news is, if you do a little bit of research, there's a ton of information out there. And I have built a very simple research repository because I got in way over my head on this and I couldn't find things that I wanted to share. So I created a very simple site called Understanding EMFs, or electromagnetic fields, that anybody is welcome to just go out there and pound around in. I've got pages for the science, what our military experts are trying to tell us because they developed this technology. Doubts, cancers, infertility, impact on children, Wi-Fi in schools, electrohypersensitivity, utility smart meters, cell towers, 5G. And what we all need to be starting to tune into is we need to be asking our towns, where are we with technology infrastructure? And what we should be doing is directing our towns toward hardwire technology to the premises. And that means bringing fiber optics or cable or copper right into your buildings. That's what they originally started taxing us for on our bills. And then they did a quick switch and realized that there was a lot more profit to be made from wireless. So they stopped short of our buildings, started throwing up the wireless infrastructure and selling us products, so we now brought the radio frequency into our homes, right? So the industry has used up pretty much the good spectrum with 3G and 4G, or third and fourth generation technology. There's not much more new profit to be made off of that. What's left of the spectrum are these crummy little millimeter waves, right? The other ones are longer waves. They go around buildings, in buildings, through us. But these little millimeter waves, they're spinning it that you'll get much faster speeds, you'll get great download speeds, you know, big data. But these millimeter waves can't carry it very far. And they can't operate on their own. They still need all the 3G and 4G infrastructure that we've already got. And now, in order to make 5G and the Internet of Things fly, the industry is now starting to put what they call small cell antennas. Their goal is to put them everywhere. That means not 300 feet in an industrial park up in the air, inside our neighborhoods, every 2 to 12 houses. So you can wake up tomorrow and have a cell tower outside your home in the public access way at bedroom height.
It's already here.
It is. They are already deploying small cells. So we need to start educating our towns. We need to reach out to our legislators, because by and large, they've only heard the benefits. They've never heard any of the risks. And there's a wonderful policy paper called Reinventing Wires, the Future of Landlines and Networks, because wireless is crummy technology. Once you plug back into a landline, once you get an Ethernet cable and you hook it up to your devices, you get screaming fast technology. Your signal is reliable. Your health is protected. Your data, your privacy is protected. But they've sold us on all Wi-Fi all the time, and I think it's about time that the honeymoon ends, right? So this is free. This is the National Institute for Science, Law, and Public Policy. Any of your municipal leaders can have access to this. This talks about us building out technology systems in our towns that are sustainable. Another dark secret of the industry is that wireless networks are huge energy consumers. I've heard that hardwired uses about 1/10 of the energy that all these wireless systems are using. So there's a bunch of really good reasons that are covered in Reinventing Wires. So there's other good news too. In Massachusetts, we're leading the nation with a whole bunch of bills that would bring this to the forefront. We've got a couple to form commissions to get the right minds to the table and get the scientists, get the industry, get the doctors, get the politicians. Let's sit down and hammer this out and do what's right for the public. A lot of money in wireless though, so we know it's a David and Goliath situation. We've got bills to protect children in schools. There's a federal lawsuit, as we saw. That Faith School is in Southborough, Massachusetts, and Representative Carolyn Dykema has written a bill to get the Massachusetts Department of Education to come up with some standards and procedures to protect all of our children, from the wee little ones all the way up through college. So there's a lot of good legwork out there. There's one that addresses utility smart meters, and what those are, as we saw there, is they're replacing the old analog meters that we used to have that were just purely mechanical devices to track our usage of electricity and gas and water. And now we also have solar meters for those who opt into that. The industry's goal is to replace all the analog devices with smart grid technology. That means we're all going to have multiple meters on our homes that are constantly pulsing microwave radiation at us. And if that's not bad enough, we know that in many cases, because this technology is not properly grounded, it can hop on the wires and the pipes of our home and create this whole circuit of radiation and all sorts of dirty electricity that we don't want to be living inside.